All right, all right, all right. Welcome to The Process, the podcast built for athletes chasing dreams of playing college and pro sports to practical strategies for all to live a higher, successful life. Who am I? Glad you asked. I am Coach Melvin Luther King, and I have a dream. And that dream is to guide you through the ups and downs and everything in between the process of greatness to earning college scholarships to living your best life. So what is the process? The process, I'm glad you asked, is a deep dive into the process of becoming successful. That starts with first, being strategic. Two, having a plan. Because if you don't have a plan, I guarantee you, your plan will fail because you don't even have a plan. Think about it. So it's going to fail. And thirdly, is having and engaging with effective organizations and programs to guide you through this process of success, similar to our guest today who went through our maximum impact training, sports performance training that got them really fast, really explosive, and more importantly, built their confidence to be great. And through our Track Minnesota program for the last 25 years, I've helped 300 plus kids get college scholarships and go to college and be special, and many now who's now on living their best life. Today, we're going to focus on two alumni. It's great to have two of our alumni here. They're home for a winter break. And it's one that these two young ladies are both former All-Americans and now in college dormitory. I think they're in apartments now because, you know, they're more advanced. But I want to introduce the two of our guests today, and one is Miss Hemetti Asar, and the other one is Kyra Dalluge. And Hemetti goes to Morgan State. Kyra Dalluge, I always get her name wrong. It's going to take me a few more years, but Miss Kyra. And so Miss Hemetti, who goes to Morgan State, went to Blaine High School. Is that correct?
I went to Roseville.
So she went to Roseville High School, like I was saying. And I'm Coach Typo, so I'm a walking typo, just so you don't know. I'm Mr. Typo all day long. But anyway, from Roseville High School, Miss Hemetti. Miss Hemetti was in our program. Hemetti, can you share with us how long you were in our program?
I've been in the program since I was 6 years old about, so how long is that? Over 13 years? A long time. And you know, and I asked that question, Miss Kyra, can you tell us how long you were in the program? You went to what high school? Rogers.
I went to Rogers High School, yep.
And you were in the program how long?
About 4 years. COVID cut it short, so 3.5.
3.5 years, right. And I asked that question, I bring that question to the point because it's one that, you know, part of our approach is long-term engagement to change behavior or to enhance behavior. So it's not one that we're in and out, but it's one that, okay, how do we go through this process to change, enhance behavior, you know, and change behavior habits. And that's kind of the key to long-term success. So it's not just about, you know, what we do and becoming an All-American, which you both did, but again, how does that help you in your place in college right now? So more specifically, Hemetti, who goes to Morgan State, I'm going to back up and, you know, at 6 years old, we talk about the process. I forgot we were at Nationals. And Hemetti, who's the ultimate professional, for some reason, she decided not to use her starting blocks at a track meet. And we didn't know till we seen a picture later. But it's again, going back to 6, 7-year-olds establishing this. I know you use your starting blocks now. Is that correct?
Every time.
Every time. But Hemetti, so just quick question. Can you tell us what's your major and the why?
So I'm majoring in architecture, and the reason I picked architecture is, beside doing track growing up, I also was like a part of a lot of science and art-based projects, and architecture, which is like very detail-oriented, focuses on like design. I just like really wanted to incorporate STEM, which I grew up with, and also having like that creativity to help either focus on like helping redesign or like rebuild communities too.
Okay, and that kind of answers my next question, what your career would look like. And it's interesting, she says architecture. So when I went to the University of Minnesota, where I started for 4 years and broke a few records, everybody knows that. But I say that because I actually was going to major in architecture, interior design, but unfortunately it only lasted one class. And that's because the class, you have to take so many prereqs, right? In this prereq class, so I'm a football player, and we're playing ball and hanging out, doing all the right things and some of the wrong things, and our teacher each day would come in, put on a film of the tops of buildings and leave. Well, I've been hanging out all night and drinking Long Island teas and all these other things that I shouldn't have been doing, so I'm tired. So every class I would go to sleep. So, anyway, that was the end of my architectural career because I knew I wasn't going to, this wasn't for me at that time because I didn't have the patience to go through the process to get to the deeper classes of architecture and things of that nature. So anyway, that teacher, wherever you at, you ruined my career. I could be building buildings right now, but you bored me out, and anyway, I'm gonna leave that alone to say the least. So Kyra, tell us what's your major and the why.
So I'm an exercise science major. The reason that I chose that major, I'm an athlete. I thought it would be easy. What do I need to learn about sports? I've been in sports my whole life. I was sadly mistaken. It's kicking my butt. The reason that I chose it was because I wanted to stay within athletics, whether it's coaching or therapy or whatnot, just because sports has been my life. I've seen a lot of ins and outs, what I like, what I don't like. And so I kind of wanted to be that change within sports. So I guess that's my why.
Got it. And where would you see yourself in that career, ideally? In 5 years from now, what would you like this to look like?
I would love to have my own practice because I like to be in charge. I would like to incorporate both training and have that nutrition portion as well as recovery. I think they all play a big role into your performance. So if I could have knowledge in all categories and be able to do something with that.
Yeah, and I like to build on that because that's kind of one of our parent organizations, Youth and Families Determined to Succeed, which is Track Minnesota's part of that is around health, wellness, fitness, and nutrition. And now these days, everybody has the cliche, health is wealth, but they just say it but don't really mean it. So when you say that, and I would say also think through, it's about helping people, and again, on this journey to success, this journey to real wealth. And the wealth is our health, but people look at that differently. And I say it from this perspective, I have a lot of really wealthy friends who can't enjoy their wealth. Now they spent their whole life making all the money they can. Now they got bad hips, so we go to Vegas. They can't hang out. They got to go lean on something, sit on something. The same ones who's had high cholesterol, high blood pressure, all of a sudden we overeating our lobster tail and you can't eat it. You overeating your salad and your little chicken and your healthy stuff, which you should be. Because they're at such a high risk. Because again, if we talk about the process of success, the process of living a vibrant lifestyle, it's also having our health. So I think that's a great field, and there's different angles and different spins of that. But at the same time is, you as athletes, we do that. But even as y'all both proceed through life and you get into your 30s, 40s, and 50s, I'm strongly going to suggest you maintain your fitness levels and your eating health, because even as an athlete like myself, is when we stop working out and things, all of a sudden our cholesterol start elevating. Our blood pressure start elevating. And then now all of a sudden you're taking these medicines and things like that you don't want to take. And with us, if we just, again, like with YFDS, it's real simple. It's move more, eat better. It's real simple. But it's hard to get into that flow and stay into that flow. So, but as athletes, I would just say, over and beyond your careers, just always kind of keep that flow. So, because we're always being attacked. I mean, I'm getting off subject on the process, but we're attacked every day, physically, mentally, and socially. And even when you're trying to eat healthy, I know when I go to a store to go get something to eat, and I'm trying to eat healthy, it is so hard to eat healthy. You go in the store, especially a convenience store, it's like, nope. Now I come out here with a bottle of water. Because, so that's part of, so let me ask that question. So when we talk about the process, tell me about your process of nutrition. I mean, what are we eating fried foods? Let me ask this question more to me. What do you eat the night before a track event, Hemetti? Or what's your routine?
My routine. Always like getting a good amount of sleep is good. It's like what I would try to do, especially like at least 2 days before the meet or the race. Also, depending on like what I'm running, like when I was doing cross country, I would like try and carbo load, or just having like a balanced meal with like protein, veggies, fruits, like having a balanced meal of everything the night before, and having breakfast too, even if it's like not a lot, because have to make sure you have energy for the rest of the day.
Exactly. And I just wanted to add to that because I know when I ran track in high school, I was an All-American, just got inducted to the Hall of Fame, but it ain't about me. But I just know that me and my guys, even though and I would just say for me, the process of getting to college and to the NFL, I had just enough discipline, a lot of talent, a lot of speed, and just enough grades to get through the process. But we always had a routine. So that routine was each morning of a meet was like 2 strips of bacon and 1 egg and some oatmeal, each time. And then even as we talk about the process of high-level performance, it's, again, what you say is 2 days before your event, that you start that process, especially hydrating. And Kyra, you're down south in the heat, and the hydration doesn't start that day, that morning. It starts 2 or 3 days prior because it's really, if you think about being strategic, it's really about what you do before that now you're hydrated through a race. Because then all of a sudden, we've had athletes do this, that they didn't hydrate, and all of a sudden that day they ran their worst time of their life because you were dehydrated, So Kyra, tell us about, what do you like to eat, or how do you prepare yourself from just from a nutrition perspective?
So I know I said I wanted to get into nutrition. I'm not very good at practicing what I preach.
Okay.
So, I try and drink water. I'm trying to really focus on adding more electrolytes into my hydration because that's huge in the South, just with the heat and whatnot. But as far as eating, the night before a race, I'll do like spaghetti and meatballs just so I can get that carb and protein in.
Got it.
And then I'm a very superstitious person. So one meat I did well with 2 Eggo waffles and 5 sausage links. So now that is my breakfast every single meet.
There you go.
And then it's just, I go back to high school and I have my peanut butter and jelly as my lunch and Cheez-Its. If I don't have Cheez-Its, I'm not running that day. I'm more of a snacker just because I get so nervous before my races. So it's just something, quick energy.
Yep. And let me ask you, so you go to the University of Troy. Can you tell us where that's at? What's the weather like today? We're here in Minnesota right now, and it actually warmed up to about 30. But what is Troy like in the summers?
Oh my gosh. In the summers, 80 degrees, humidity on 1,000. It feels like 100 degrees. You can't breathe in the summertime. Right now, I think it's like 40s, 50s down there. So to me, that's cold down there. So here I'm dying. But yeah, summers are very difficult. It's one of those where you don't want to run just because of how the headaches. And if you seriously haven't been hydrating like the week prior to your race, like you're not putting yourself in a great position.
Okay, so let me ask this, and part of our goal and aspects through our organization is in using track and field, because we got a lot of funders and a lot of things through Track Minnesota who don't get the why. And the why of track is just our tool to help you guys practice 3 things: stress, success, and failure, which happens in one track meet, right? And when I say the stress and relating back to the heat, and I'm not sure if you were there. Were you ever at the meets in Houston with us? Okay, Hemetti, have you? So and we're talking about the heat and relating back to Kyra. Boy, he's a typo. Anyway, is just the process of going through Track Minnesota and going to the hotter meets. Did you go to the meet in Vegas that year?
No.
So you wasn't there. Okay, so you've been out for a few years. So Hemetti, I'm gonna go to Hemetti because I know you were in Sacramento one time when it was 110 degrees. You were in Houston when it was super hot. So when I say that to connect the dots back to the process that a YFDS, Track Minnesota, MIT took you through to prepare you for these type of meets like she's experiencing in Texas that you'll experience, and being in those elements in Sacramento and Houston and dealing with that heat and still have to do it, perform at a high level. We don't want to put all this work in and then go out there and just fizzle out just because it's hot. So tell me, how did some of the Track Minnesota experience help you through some stressful situations you're dealing with in college now, if it's heat or whatever it could be?
I would say Track Minnesota like helps me in like track right now in college, mainly just like knowing that I can perform with the people I'm competing against now because I've done it before, and like knowing I already been through the process. I know how to warm up. I know how to like get ready. I know what it should feel like to know I'm gonna do good, and like knowing how I'm supposed to feel while I'm in the race, while like just like knowing what you should be able to do is like the main thing Track Minnesota has helped me, because especially my first college meet, like that was like really nerve-wracking a little bit, because it's like, wow, I moved on to college, I graduated, and I'm still running, and there's just like a whole new group of people because I'm going out of state, so I don't recognize nobody there but my team. So it's like, this is a whole different group of people who I never ran against, never seen run before. I don't know what they're about. They don't know what I'm about. So it's really just like knowing that I can keep up, knowing that I've trained and like I've done my best to be where I am now.
So being at nationals, being an All-American, all that really helped you at that next level, because you've already experienced those type of things, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
And so what year are you in now at Morgan State?
Right now I'm a sophomore.
She's a sophomore at Morgan State. Okay. And Kyra, you're at Troy, you're in Texas.
Alabama, sorry. I forgot to add that.
That's Alabama.
Southern Alabama.
Southern Alabama, way down south.
Yes.
And so again, same thing, this practice of success, failure, and stress, and going through this process now, how it's helping you where you are to be today. So I already know that you came to us with the goal of, at the time we was running 103, 104, of getting about to a minute, maybe 59. And over this process of targeted strength training, of targeted track meets, of some really good coaching, that you skipped right past a minute 59, went straight to 58. Then all of a sudden, I want to run a 55. So that's that nuance that we don't predict that comes from it. And that, to me, it turns out to this different level of confidence we've seen in you. So going through that process, and again, the strength training, the hard workouts, how are you able to handle college workouts and be able to manage that process and dealing with that stress, you know?
I think Track Minnesota really set me up workout-wise, for instance, training for the 4 and the 8. Right now in college, the workouts, I hear them and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. But then I remember, like, back with Track Minnesota, I was pushed already to that level where it's like, I've done it before. I'm going to survive this workout. I saw what it did for me. And so now, like, I'm confident that I will get through it, that I can get to places that I've seen in the past with Track Minnesota. So I think workouts set me up well. And so I think that would,
Good.
what I was gonna say.
The competition's great, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I want to kind of show people here. These is what these young ladies then got here. These are them All-American levels, and this makes you top 8 in the country to get one of these. All right, these don't come by easy, but these here turn into that. College girls is what I like to call them, right? And these right here is, and we average 8, 9, 11 of these each year, and again, it's about. And really, it's about you guys and how do we position y'all to be great, you know, and it really fulfills my heart to see where you guys are at now. You both are home visiting for the spring and for the winter break. It's good to see y'all at practice. I see y'all off to the side doing your routine, as you already know, and it's just the professionals at a high level. But y'all need to know the influence, and I call this the multiplier, how they are influence the younger kids who looking up like, who is that? And who are they? And what do they do? And Hemetti came and started with us at 6 years old. And that's what your process. I mean, just think about it. You had a 20-year career going. I mean, you're only, 19?
Yeah.
We got a 14, 15-year career already that's been going. So but again, these are the habits. So when y'all get into your real world, your real life, is going to really, I already know y'all going to be successful because you're set up, you went through the process, you got to go through this adult process, but your foundation and your habits and behaviors are solid. And y'all need to know that y'all going to be successful. And the only thing I would ever charge y'all back is to make sure you give back and do what we've done for you. Mm-hmm. And I know y'all built like that, but that's how we bring it full circle because I don't just do this work just to do it. I do this work that you guys become successful. And then just like within my family, it creates generational success. All of your kids will go to college and so on and so forth and hopefully be coaches and help someone along. Because in this world we're living in, we need more good people. Mm-hmm. We need more caring people because, again, everybody's running around trying to make all the money in the world and the politicians trying to get all the power and all this and that. But then at the end of the day, there's no true joy in that. Some of the richest people are the most unhappiest people I know. And money becomes a curse. Too much money. If you don't give half of it away to YFDS or Track Minnesota Elite, then it becomes a curse. I see it time and time again from the movie stars to the musicians. I don't want to say no name, but like Diddy and them guys, all this money, you in jail, you can't really use it because you got so much money too early, too successful, and now it became a curse because you didn't give half of it away, or you didn't help that one person you could have helped, or you could have bought somebody some growth. I do things like that. That's the best thing you can do in your life. That if you're having a bad day, is go help somebody do something. It really helps, or just smile. And so I just say this character thing is part of the process. It's about what's inside of us eternally. So. And so I need y'all to ask me a question. There's a few questions that we had talked about earlier, but let's flip the script here, and y'all ask Coach Melvin Luther King a question.
What is your story of your process?
Man, I'm glad you asked that question. Again, I'll go back to just having just enough discipline, just enough grades, and a lot of speed and talent to get to this level. But it also took going through the highs and lows that you'll go through in college. I come from winning state championships in high school. My high school season, my senior year, I won a high school state championship, undefeated in football, won a state championship in track, came to the University of Minnesota, and again, went undefeated in football, state champs of Pennsylvania. And came to Minnesota my first year. We won our first game of the year against Rice University. Thought we was going to the Rose Bowl. Then lost the next 10 by average of 45 points a game. And so that was a process for me to be able to manage. I had, again, enough strength inside because I was ready to transfer. None of this would happen because I was ready to transfer to Penn State or somewhere back closer home. Then a guy named Coach Lou Holtz came in and changed things up real quick. But for me, it was what I had gotten instilled in me early about never quitting and never give up to helping me go through that process and going in. And then we ended up going to bowl games and I broke a few records. But it was again, we're creatures of habits and behaviors. And what was inside me to help me through that process. And not only that, one thing I always did was always say I wanted to start my own business. That's what's your major, business management. And and it's spoken into existence to today where I own and run and started 3 businesses. So, great question. And we all have our story and our process. And that was one of my process. And now, again, all 3 of my kids went Division I and provided this platform, developed this platform for y'all to be great. So that's kind of my process. And I can go deeper, but we'll stop it right there. But Ms. Hemetti, you had a question for me there?
Yeah. What's your goals for the next 10 years look like? What do you envision for Track Minnesota, MIT, YFDS?
Another great question, young lady. They smart. See, this is what it's all about, just this intelligence that breeds out from what we do. I would say, and somebody asked me this question before, what if money wasn't an issue? And what that would look like is a sports and learning center where we're doing the sports, we're doing the leadership and life skill development, working on those soft skills that we really need, that's really important. And at the same time, the educational piece. And I said it before and previously, is I would love to be able to connect the dots from grade school all the way to high school to college, and kind of find our ways around these career-killing high school coaches. Yeah, I said it out loud again. And some of these career-killing teachers who's not really helping mold your academics, and some of these career-killing parents who's not doing their job. And then how do we fill in that gap to make more of you? You know, how do we take little Johnny and Sally, who might not have the most stable household, who's not educationally strong, and not in the best schools, and who's don't have got talent, but nobody's developed it. How do we, so again, it looks like this sports and learning center that has a track, of course, but it also has all these elements that deals with not just the athletic side, but the nutritional side, the educational, and the social development. A lot of our athletes, a lot of people in general have a lot of mental health issues, and a lot of because, they're not practicing the success, failure, and stress in a I'm not going to say non-violent, but in a non-life-changing way. We're doing it on the track. Okay, you lost a race. Okay, we come back, get better. But out in the streets, okay, I just went and broke in a car or stole the car. Now all of a sudden I'm in juvenile center, I'm in jail. So now that practice of success, failure, and stress changes their whole life. It's not on the track, but when we learn these things on the track, it makes us more resilient. That's our new word for 2025 about how y'all become resilient to deal with whatever you got to deal with in college and life. Is I got to have the confidence, I got to have the courage, I got to have that know I'm going to be successful. We got to speak some things into existence like I did with, I'm going to start business. I was just talking. I'm going to start 3 businesses. Or not 3, I'm just going to start my own business. To this day, that's where I'm at. And it's been a great journey. But again, it's about also when you say 5, 10 years from now, well, we just completing our 25th year of doing this. I've been coaching for 30 years. And it's about now, this work is great. This work has to continue. Hopefully one day y'all might cycle. You get close enough to Minnesota, and Hemetti, you coached with us last year. I'm plugging you back into the program. But it's really about laying the groundwork for the next 25 years, the next 50 years. And that's where it's at because our work is great and it's so needed. Not just on the track side, but even on YFDS with the health and the obesity programming. We got people out here who's not going to live quality lives because of their weight and what they're putting in their bodies and their nutrition and their fitness. And they have to, and what YFDS is on that side is we're the organization that holds people's hands and walk them through this process of fitness, nutrition, health, mental health, social health. Because, again, it's 2025 about to be. We have some new things happening. And we talked about it back in the green room, our professional green room back there. And we talked about those who's not prepared for 2025, those young folks who's out there listening, who's not taking care of their schoolwork, who's not doing the grades, who's acting up, acting out, who's eating anything, not getting any exercise. You got to understand what your life is going to look like in the next 5 to 10 years. Half y'all going to be homeless. Half you going to have diabetes just because we won't eat right or get a little exercise, just because we want to act up in school, don't want to listen to our parents, or using the excuse that my parents are not providing with your parents. Y'all got great parents. But no, we got to find organizations like YFDS, Track Minnesota, MIT to help you through that process and charge your family and charge your teachers to help you become great. Because like I tell parents all the time, you want to help your kids be great because when you get old, kind of like I'm almost getting there, I still run that 10-9. Everybody know it. Is that you become successful so when they get older that you're able to help your parents out when they're in their late 70s and 80s and not just tucking them in a nursing home and that you're there to support them. So you parents out there, there's another reason why that you need your kids to become successful. And with that, I want to thank you two for coming. And it's just been a pleasure interviewing and seeing y'all all grown up. And what I would say is, again, this is the process, the podcast to help you be great and take you through this process. And so at this point, all you need to do is like, comment, and share and reach out to us, and we can help you through this process of greatness. I'm Coach Melvin Luther King, and I appreciate you. Peace, and we out.